This video is about how a mind slowly breaks when life turns against it, and why some never do. If you've ever felt worn down by setbacks, betrayal, isolation, or pressure, not dramatically, but quietly, over time, you already recognize the danger. Most people don't collapse all at once. They erode, clarity fades, emotional reactions take over, and control slips away without being noticed. What happens next is rarely obvious until it's irreversible. What follows in this video explains how disciplined minds remain unbreakable under sustained pressure, why emotional reactions create fragility, and how control is preserved when circumstances refuse to improve. The structure only becomes clear once you see it unfold. Hardship exposes two clear paths. The first is emotional reaction. Fear rises, anger follows, despair settles in, and adversity turns into a personal drama. Blame replaces thinking. Outbursts replace control. Over time, this makes you fragile because your peace depends on a fair world, and such a world does not exist. The second path is quieter. It is observation and internal control. The disciplined mind feels the same fear and anger, but it watches them instead of obeying them. It manages them. It steps back. Energy is not wasted on blame or despair, but turned inward toward mastering response. This kind of self-control is invisible, but it is powerful. Emotional outbursts are a luxury you cannot afford when life is pressing in. A calm, clear mind becomes your strongest weapon. Real strength is silent, built on restraint and self-control. What determines whether hardship sharpens you or quietly ruins you comes down to one internal decision. Resilience is not returning to who you were before, untouched and unchanged. Hardship leaves marks. It reshapes you. Real resilience is the ability to endure pressure, adapt to it, and continue without breaking. It's staying clear-minded while chaos surrounds you, allowing adversity to harden you instead of destroying you. True strength isn't loud or performative. It's quiet, internal, and doesn't require an audience. This mental fortress isn't built on optimism, but on realism. The resilient accept that life can be hostile and unfair, and they narrow their focus to the only thing they can control, their own mind. Outward appearances become irrelevant. Internal discipline becomes everything. The unbreakable don't look for validation. They rely on structure. They bend, they observe, they endure. They do not shatter. Self-mastery is the only form of resilience that lasts. Most people misunderstand resilience because they mistake recovery for strength. Emotion is a primitive signal, and in a complex world, it often becomes a liability. An undisciplined mind is ruled by these signals, fear, anger, sadness, and slowly turns into a puppet controlled by its own chemistry. That loss of control creates fragility. The mind can no longer contain what it feels. Panic hides opportunity. Rage distorts judgment. Sorrow drains endurance. The emotional person is always reacting, never choosing, locked in a constant state of crisis. Emotions demand immediate relief, but long-term pressure requires patience and strategy. The first weakness hardship exposes is your relationship with your feelings. Fragile minds treat emotion as identity. Resilient minds treat it as something to manage. Calm does not mean numb. It means refusing to be ruled by feeling. Under pressure, a calm mind becomes power. An emotional mind becomes a weakness. Your relationship with emotion determines whether pressure gives you power or takes it away. Many people are taught that expressing emotion is strength, that releasing it is necessary, but constant venting doesn't reduce emotion. It strengthens it. It trains the mind to give in whenever discomfort appears. This isn't release, it's reinforcement, often tied to the need for sympathy or validation. In a hostile world, emotional displays don't attract rescue. They attract pressure. Outbursts drain energy, leaving you tired, exposed, and easier to break. Catharsis is a privilege of safety, not a tool for survival. A strong mind contains emotion and saves its strength for real challenges. Feelings are noticed, but they are not allowed to take control. The promise of release is replaced with endurance. The unbreakable mind is sealed, holding its power inside. An undisciplined mind is transparent. Its emotions are visible. Its weaknesses are exposed. Fear, anger, and despair leak outward, and others learn how to use them against you. When you broadcast emotion, you give away leverage and become predictable. In moments of conflict, it is the calm, unreadable person who holds the advantage. Transparency doesn't just weaken you, it unsettles those around you. Panic spreads, morale collapses. A composed presence does the opposite. It stabilizes, disciplines, and reassures. Emotional states are contagious. You either spread strength or weakness. The unbreakable mind learns opacity. It separates what is felt internally from what is shown externally. You decide what the world sees and what remains protected. To stay unbreakable, you must become unreadable. The moment others can read you clearly is the moment you lose strategic advantage. The unbreakable mind is not something you are born with. It is forged. Through deliberate and often painful effort, an internal structure is built. Discipline. Like steel shaped by fire, a disciplined mind keeps its form under pressure. Every small act of self-control becomes a hammer strike, slowly hardening you. This is the unseen foundation of resilience, a mental fortress built brick by brick, designed to stand through any storm. What actually holds under pressure isn't motivation, it's structure. Most people understand these ideas in theory, but struggle to apply them when pressure is constant and life doesn't let up. That's where structure matters. The art of strategic indifference is designed to give you a clear framework for mental control, restraint, and endurance when circumstances turn hostile. It breaks down how disciplined minds stay intact without relying on motivation or reassurance. If you want something you can return to when clarity starts to slip, the link is in the description. Restraint is discipline in action, a deliberate choice to hold back. An undisciplined mind follows impulse and mistakes reaction for strength. Real power comes from deciding when to act and when not to. Restraint creates space for control and for strategy. In silence, you collect information and preserve energy. That silence becomes a weapon, more effective than any angry response. Restraint is the quiet signature of a mind that is truly in control. Composure is what discipline and restraint look like on the outside. It is a steady, controlled presence shown to the world, no matter how much turmoil exists within or around you. This does not mean the absence of feeling. A composed person may feel fear, anger, or uncertainty, just as strongly as anyone else. The difference is structural. They have built an inner framework strong enough to contain those emotions without letting them spill into action or expression. That calm exterior becomes a psychological force. Others feel it immediately. It creates an impression of authority and control that is hard to ignore. In moments of crisis, people instinctively gravitate toward the calmest person in the room. Panic spreads easily, but composure spreads just as fast. People don't follow calm by accident. They respond to something deeper than confidence. When others begin to unravel, the person who stays steady naturally becomes the center of gravity. Their calm suggests that the situation, no matter how serious it looks, is still under control. It implies that they see something others don't, a wider view, a plan, or a level of inner strength untouched by the chaos. This quiet authority reassures allies and plants doubt in opponents. It makes you appear more formidable than you may actually be, simply because you are not revealing your weaknesses. But this kind of composure is not automatic. It has to be built. Especially under pressure, it must be trained deliberately. It comes from practicing discipline and restraint repeatedly until control turns into instinct. It means learning to manage your own body, steadying your breath, lowering your voice, keeping your movements calm and deliberate. These small physical controls send signals back to the mind, reinforcing inner stability. In a sense, it is a performance, but not an empty one. It serves a strategic purpose. You are shaping how others perceive you, and through that, shaping the situation itself. The authority created by composure doesn't come from rank or position. It is earned in real time. It belongs to the mind that has mastered itself. This person doesn't need to shout, threaten, or put on displays of power. Their control speaks for them. Their power is obvious in their control. Without saying anything, they show that they cannot be shaken, that outside pressure has no hold on their will. This quiet, unyielding composure is the clearest sign of an unbreakable mind. It sends a silent message. The world may rage on the outside, but the fortress within remains intact, steady, untouched, and in command. Many people confuse the performance of strength with the real thing. This performance is loud, aggressive, and impossible to ignore, boasting, threats, and attempts to dominate. Real strength moves differently. It is quiet, contained, and self-assured. The outward display is often a mask, covering insecurity and fear. True power doesn't need an audience. The illusion of strength is fragile. When that mask falls away, only vulnerability is left. The person who performs strength builds a facade. From the outside, it can look impressive, like a fortress wall carved from solid stone. But this facade is rigid, hard, and ultimately fragile. When real adversity arrives, that rigidity becomes a weakness. It cannot bend, so it breaks. The strength was never part of the person's core. It was only a mask, an outer shell without anything solid beneath it. The unbreakable mind is different. It is resilient, more like tempered steel than stone. Its strength comes from deep internal integrity, built to absorb pressure without ever shattering. There is a clear difference between an internal fortress and a painted wall. A painted wall is an illusion. It looks solid from a distance, but collapses the moment pressure is applied. An internal fortress is built for real adversity. Its strength is quiet, unannounced, and designed to endure the storm. One exists for appearance, the other exists for survival. Adversity is more than an obstacle. It is information. It acts like a harsh light, revealing the true structure of a mind by stripping away pretense. When life is comfortable, it's impossible to tell who is strong and who is not. Almost any mind can appear stable when it hasn't been tested. But when suffering arrives, through physical pain, emotional loss, or the slow, grinding weight of failure, the truth surfaces. Pain dissolves the social mask, the confident posture, the optimistic stories people tell themselves. It cuts through illusion. What remains is the raw self, fully exposed. And for the undisciplined mind, that exposure is terrifying. Pain only destroys the mind that doesn't know how to read it. It treats suffering as an enemy, as something unfair to fight, fear, or grieve endlessly. Pain becomes the center of its world, swallowing attention and draining energy. This kind of mind learns nothing from the experience except how to dread it happening again. It grows more cautious, more anxious, more fragile than before, haunted by the memory of how easily it collapsed. Suffering does not strengthen it, it dismantles it. Pain exposes a foundation of disorder, an inner world without discipline, and the individual emerges weaker, marked by the evidence of their own fragility. The disciplined mind, however, meets suffering from a completely different position. It does not welcome pain, but it does not fear what pain reveals. Adversity is treated as a crucible, a testing ground that exposes flaws, limits, and weaknesses with brutal clarity. When a setback occurs, this mind does not collapse into despair or self-pity. It redirects its attention inward. What failed? Where was the error? Which internal weakness, ego, impatience, poor judgment, lack of foresight, played a role? Pain is no longer just suffering. It becomes a diagnostic instrument, offering precise information for correction. This ability to analyze under pressure is what allows the disciplined mind to extract strength from hardship instead of being destroyed by it. It doesn't just endure pain, it processes it. It turns pain from something destructive into something useful. Each failure becomes a lesson in strategy. Each betrayal becomes a lesson in human nature. Each period of suffering becomes a lesson in endurance. Over time, the mind learns to tolerate higher levels of discomfort and to remain clear while chaos surrounds it. It begins to recognize its own weaknesses before others can take advantage of them. Pain exposes cracks in the structure, and the disciplined mind uses that knowledge not to collapse, but to strengthen those weak points. Isolation removes the comfort of connection and leaves you alone with your own thoughts. For many, this feels unbearable, a constant pull toward validation and reassurance. But for a disciplined mind, solitude becomes a sharpening stone. In silence, distractions disappear, and clarity begins to form. Forced to rely on themselves, they grow stronger, more focused, and self-contained. And when they return, they are no longer the same, hardened by solitude, no longer dependent on others for stability or strength. Endurance is the quiet, uncelebrated core of resilience. It isn't about fast wins or dramatic turnarounds, but about surviving a long, grinding siege. Adversity erodes you slowly, testing patience, focus, and resolve. The disciplined mind learns to persist anyway, shaping willpower through sustained pressure. And in the end, what remains is a mind tempered by struggle, one that outlasts everything placed against it. Inside every mind there is a narrator. This voice explains events, often exaggerating setbacks and pulling attention toward what went wrong. In an undisciplined mind, that narrator becomes unreliable, turning difficulty into drama and trapping the person inside a story of despair. The disciplined mind learns to take control of that voice, to correct it, train it, and choose a clearer interpretation. Over time, the narrator stops working against you. It becomes an ally, helping you stay composed and grounded when pressure increases. How you see the world is not the same as how the world actually is. Your perception is a lens, shaped by experience, memory, and emotion. An undisciplined mind treats its first impression as truth and becomes trapped inside its own interpretation. A disciplined mind steps back and questions what it sees, creating distance between perception and reality. You are the architect of how the world is experienced. Build that inner world as a fortress, not a prison. The final stage of mental control is developing the observer within you. This is the part of your awareness that can watch your own thoughts and emotions without getting caught inside them. It is a state of deliberate detachment. The observer lets emotions rise and pass without pulling you along with them. You begin to notice anger is appearing instead of saying, "I am angry." That separation changes everything. This is the core of an unbreakable mind. The final form of mental control isn't force, it's distance. In the end, what remains when a mind has been forged unbreakable? There is no trophy waiting, no applause, no public moment of recognition. The world doesn't stop and storms still arrive. But inside, something solid remains, a structure that holds, quiet and unmoved. This isn't happiness, it's clarity, it's purpose in the middle of chaos. An unbreakable mind answers to itself alone, free, composed, and steady. What remains is the silent presence of a will that outlasts whatever the world brings. If this video brought clarity, leave a like. Share it with someone who needs it. Leave a comment. I read them. Subscribe if you want more content like this. And when you're ready, watch the next video.